Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from an upcoming exhibit at the Gilded Pear Gallery. Lauren Tucci, gallery manager, is back. Lauren, hi.
Hi, Dennis.
Nice to have you here.
Thanks.
And the artists who are exhibiting the upcoming exhibit, Audrey Brown and Randy Richmond. Hello.
Hi.
Nice to have you both here.
Nice to be here.
So we have lots of different ways to approach this because you the exhibits, two separate exhibits, but you both do landscapes among other things. But you also are a couple. So you also are two artists who do your own art, I'm guessing sometimes in the same space. So I definitely am curious about how that all works out just from a physics point of view. But let's start, Audrey, start with you. Just tell me a little bit about your background in art and how you describe what you do.
Okay. I'm a landscape artist, and I've always been drawn to landscape. I used to work in pastel, but now I work in oil. I like to go out and take photographs of landscapes and then take them back to my studio and work in my studio. And I'm kind of meticulous. I use an indirect approach where I do a lot of sketching. I sketch it out first, and then after I sketch it out, I do an underpainting, and then after I do an underpainting, I work on the top layers of it. And I like to work on panel, and I work in not restoration. Excuse me, I do restoration too. But I like to work in the oil because I think the feel of it is really nice, and I like landscape because it's something I know and that I can relate to.
Randy, same question. I know that you do landscapes, but also photography and still life as well. So tell me a little bit about give me your artist statement.
Okay, so the landscape photographs are a little more traditional than people are used to seeing. I work a lot in sort of art history genres of painting, and I'm a firm believer that focus is a choice, not a responsibility. So I'll use lack of focus or a shallow focus to separate subjects within a plane. And the same thing is with the still lifes. I kind of recently came to the realization that my still lifes are also landscapes, and they kind of influence each other.
How did the two of you meet?
I was at an art show, an opening at Quad City Arts in the Quad Cities, and I've always liked his work, but I didn't realize it was his work, and we started talking, and we've just kind of hit it off, and we've been together ever since.
Lauren, so you've got two artists who know each other very well, but who have very obviously very different style and things to go into these exhibits. And I know it's two separate exhibits, but were you thinking as you were pulling the exhibit together and looking at the pieces and arranging the pieces, were you thinking about even though it's two different exhibits, you have two artists who are connected to each other? Did that come into play at all?
It did, but it's actually quite nice to have them stand on their own as separate bodies of work. Initially, I approached this show as a two-person show, but I actually appreciate it even more that it's separate because you can really dive into what Randy's thoughts are versus what Audrey's thoughts are without having to combine them as a curator, right? And so they get to live on their own, even though they don't get to live on their own internally, like in your internal spaces. And so it actually came together quite well, and how they interact are friendly, but you can tell they're different thoughts.
Now, have the two of you ever done the same, worked on the same, landscape, or done something, done the
Yes.
same thing together
yes.
but differently?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because, well, I'll let you tell the story. It's kind of humorous.
So we were in one of our favorite spots, and the atmospheric conditions were pretty ideal. So of course I have a camera, and I have a tripod, and I do a lot of thought and
And you're
movement.
taking your time and doing
and
it correctly.
Yeah, and she's running around with her iPad.
It's just snapping pictures just for reference photos.
So we get home, and I'm working for about 45 minutes or so, and I say, look at this. And then she said, yeah, I put something just like that on Facebook an hour ago.
And of
So she
course,
was
it wasn't
literally
edited or nice.
over
or
my
anything.
shoulder.
I didn't realize it. I think we have similar tastes probably in a lot of things we're drawn to. I mean, so now we kind of try to be aware of that. Like I'll ask, are you using this? Or because his photos are really set up and really nice, and mine are just like for reference things.
Yours are ideas that
Yeah,
you're going to
like-
take then into the painting
Exactly.
studio.
Or I'm like, he's driving down the highway and I'm like, snap, snap, snap right out the window, So I'm totally opposite in what I use photography for versus what he does.
And actually, just yesterday we were going somewhere, and there was this little creek off the side of the road. And she said, "Oh, slow down, slow down." And I said, I've been eyeing that for the last 2 years, but it hasn't been right yet.
Well, I've been after that one
Go
too,
ahead.
though.
So apparently, custody of the creek
Exactly.
is one of the things.
There's always negotiations.
But we work them out pretty easily.
Yeah.
So just from a physical standpoint, when in your home, where I'm assuming your studio is part of your home, how are your different workspaces structured?
The studio is actually spread out throughout the home. I mean, there's easels everywhere, and I get the space that she allows me to have.
Am I a space hog?
Then I'm sure that you also put stuff up. How do you negotiate wall space?
Well, for going back to the first part of it, I have an old house that it's still being restored, but for the most part, and the majority of it's restored. But for us, it's like the whole space is working area. And I have cats. We have an area that they're really good about. They stay out of it, called the no cat zone. And we put stuff that's kind of finished or half finished in there. And then just different areas. Almost every room in the house has something kind of art related or stashed, or a tub or something that's getting ready to be used. But I don't know, wall space hasn't been as much of an issue.
No, I have. When it comes to that, she keeps telling me, "Yes, I want to put that up. You just did this one. That one has to go up." And I said, don't worry about it. But I have a small. My studio is a little 7-foot by 10-foot room in a basement with a little tiny window that I use for light, and that actually works that way. I noticed it. I noticed an object sitting on a table, and I said, "That's my spot." So the nature of the wall, the smallness of the room, the tiny window facing north kind of gives me what I need.
Well, and then there's others. He'll change areas once in a while in the house. Like underneath the staircase going upstairs, I left an old. The house had sat vacant for over 10 years when I got it, and there was these beautiful stencils in it, but so much of it had to be gutted out. But this was an area I was able to leave, so it had this beautiful, cool old stencil with old flocking wallpaper that's kind of has disintegrated and left a red residue with these cool murals. And so I left that, and he's discovered he likes that as a backdrop area. So he'll take, parts of my house that aren't finished or a little rougher and put still lifes and stuff into it. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't finish that just because.
Well, Randy, you mentioned that sometimes when you're looking at things that Audrey then will have a different opinion about that. So now I'm curious about when Lauren came in and said, I want to take stuff for the show. Was there anything that she decided she wanted that surprised either of you?
Well, actually, she was nice enough to kind of let me decide what I was looking for. And I've done landscapes for 40 years, but I'd never put the still lifes and landscapes together. So I was printing couple of large prints, one landscape and one still life, to kind of get a feel for which way I should go. And when they were sitting together, I thought, I need to put these things together by some sort of loose thread, thought, design, whatever.
Because they definitely work together.
Yeah. But luckily that worked out, because I picked the best out of 800 or so still lifes and 5 years worth of landscapes. So it was good that you probably didn't get involved from a time perspective.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
It would have taken a lot longer.
Yes.
Randy's exhibit is called Protected Landscapes. Audrey's is called Midwest Landscapes. Up currently, or are you still in the final?
Currently,
Yeah.
Today, May 20th.
We're taping on May 20th, so
it's the very first day that it's open. So anybody can come down to the gallery and check it out prior to the reception.
which is coming up.
It is coming up next Friday, May 31st, from 5 to 7:30. But everything is viewable and available ahead of time. So
Sure. Everything's on the website too.
Yep.
So you can take a look in advance if you would like, but that is not nearly as good as getting to see it
Yeah,
at the gallery.
go now.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting that all together, Lauren.
Oh yeah.
And then the reception, those usually start about 5:30, yeah?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. And you do like to have people kind of make a reservation or do the Eventbrite or so they can kind of get an idea of numbers or...
Yeah, it's nice if you let us know on our Facebook event, just so we can plan for beverages and food. We do have a nice spread. So if you can, let us know. If not, just show up.
Okay. All right. Well, it's Landscapes with Audrey and Randy up now at Gilded Pear Gallery. And, of course, the two of you will be at the reception. So
Yep.
you can talk about whether if somebody says, well, I think this one is kind of a family with this one. And you can say yes or no. What would ever give you that idea? Well, this has been so much fun hearing about the two of you and your process and comparing and contrasting. And Lauren, great idea to get them together in one exhibit. And I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Thanks, Dennis.
Again, you can visit online or Facebook with the Gilded Pear Gallery if you'd like to reply to make a reservation for the reception. And, of course, you can always view everything on your website, which is
GildedPearGallery.com.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Lauren.
Dennis.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:30 or download the podcast. Watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture or using your favorite podcast player. Watch the videos on Facebook or YouTube. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.